The storyline moves to 17 years later, showing three women who are close friends, Kathy, Megan, and Stacy, enjoying a weekend getaway at one of the luxury hotels. Kathy, who celebrated herself, who had just been promoted to be the principal of the school where she worked. Kathy and her friends have planned a holiday to celebrate her success. Dressed in elegant-looking attire, the three women were relaxing in a luxurious hotel suite, sipping wine in their hands, and sharing jokes and laughter. And while they were chatting, a secret was revealed that Kathy was a single mother. After going through her divorce, Kathy now lives with her only daughter Bree, who is now in her teens. During their celebration, the air conditioner in their hotel room started to malfunction. They hurriedly called the hotel staff for help, and then noticed a hotel employee who still looked young named Ian. The young man quickly repaired the AC unit. Kathy and her teammates, who were watching Ian, seemed fascinated by the handsome young man. Despite realizing that the young man was only 18 years old, still the three women continued to tease him, ignoring the significant age difference. Then Kathy had changed into a very revealing outfit and headed to the hotel pool to relax. As she prepared to swim, Ian saw her and felt attracted to the woman. Even though Kathy is a single mother, the woman still has enough confidence to lure Ian over. The woman approaches him and they start a conversation. Ian tries to impress her, but when he makes an approach, which doesn't seem very successful at first, he then jumps into the pool and playfully invites Kathy to join him. When the woman refused, the young man pretended to drown by immersing himself underwater. Kathy, who had been a lifeguard for her college years, instinctively dived in to save Ian. However, Ian immediately revealed that he was not really drowning. The young man revealed that he only enjoyed being underwater as a way to clear his mind. Ian immediately praised Kathy for her admiration, and they returned to the hotel. At the time they arrived at the hotel room, the young man became more persistent in approaching Kathy even though he was hesitant at first. Kathy, who usually doesn't involve herself with younger men. But Ian's charm and persuasion eventually weakened his resistance, and they ended up spending a loving night together. And the next morning, Kathy wakes up to find that Ian has left, but she has left flowers as a farewell gift, and she is reunited with her friends. By the time they checked out of the hotel, the woman believed that the meeting was a brief moment that she could have skipped, but there was something Kathy didn't know. It turned out that Ian didn't really work at the hotel. The young man was just filling a friend's apprenticeship. At the time, he reminisced about the night with Kathy, and at that very moment, Ian was holding a photo of none other than Bree, who hinted that the girl was someone very important to him. About Ian's family life, the young man lived with his mother and stepfather, but their family was far from harmonious. Ian and his stepfather had a disharmonious relationship because his stepfather was involved in drug trafficking. Despite these tensions, Ian is deeply devoted to his often ill mother. The young man does his best to take care of his mother, showing his affectionate side to her, while Kathy prepares for her first day as principal at her school with Bree accompanying her. It is revealed that Bree is an introverted girl who struggles with social interactions. The girl has been bullied in the past at previous school, leaving her with low self-esteem and difficulty in forming new friendships. When Kathy arrived at the school, her diary was shot. When the woman saw Ian among the students, Kathy was momentarily stunned, not sure if it was really Ian or just someone who looked like the young man. Before Kathy can get close to her, Ian disappears into the crowd, leaving Kathy questioning if her mind is playing tricks on her. While Kathy heads to her office, Bree attends her first class. As the teacher has already started lessons, Ian walks in and reveals that this is also his first day at school. Sitting next to Bree, and they introduce themselves. Bree visited the school's art gallery to look at the paintings. While admiring the girl's joke, was approached by three students: Leslie, Gina, and Steve. Steve, who is Leslie's boyfriend along with the others, tries to befriend Bree. Bree, who recognizes herself as the principal's daughter. They express their interest in becoming a cheerleader and invite Bree to join their social circle. Bree feels unsure and responds hesitantly, saying that she needs to ask her mother permission before making a decision. Seeing Bree's nervousness, Steve mockingly laughs at her speech impediment. Ian, who sees her, immediately steps up to Steve for making fun of Bree. Shortly after Kathy arrives and joins the conversation, the students invite Bree to join the pizza party, and Kathy gives her daughter permission to go during the outing. Teena mentions to Leslie that she once dated Ian but broke up with him some time ago. Then Ian approaches Bree again and Ian speaks kindly to Bree, who is not used to boys being nice to her. She is surprised by her behavior and questions why the young man treats her differently than others. The next day, Bree and Ian went to class together. Kathy's mother, who was already in the room talking to Gina, when Kathy saw Ian, she panicked, realizing that the boy she was having a one-night stand with was now a student at her school. With a fairly distracted attitude, he rushed to his office and instructed his assistant to find out more about Ian. He soon learned that Ian suffered from a troubled history, with a disciplinary record full of violent incidents and anger issues, who were worried about his presence. Kathy wasn't sure how to handle the situation. She confided in her friend Megan and asked for advice later. When she left her office, she saw Ian sitting with Brienne. With a quick step, Kathy got off her hand and pulled her daughter away. Once they're both in the car, Kathy emphatically tells Bree that she needs to stay away from Ian. Warning that he's a bad influence, she reveals what she's learned about his abusive past. Kathy hopes to be able to convince Bree that the young man can be dangerous, but for the first time Bree opposes her mother. She refuses to listen, arguing that Ian is the only person who has ever treated her with kindness and respect. She doesn't want to lose the first real relationship she has ever made. That night, after returning home, Kathy decides to send Bree out with her ex-husband Ben, hoping to have some quiet time to think about a solution to her ongoing problems with Ian. Bree's father Ben takes the girl to a restaurant for dinner without realizing that Ian is secretly following them. When Bree sees Ian, she asks permission to go to the toilet, but the girl only meets with the young man. Bree tells Ian about how her mother doesn't want them to meet. Their conversation was interrupted when Ben's father immediately asked Bree who the young man was, and Ian politely introduced himself to Ben. Ben tells Kathy about an unusual encounter with Ian. Concerned about the situation, Kathy becomes more agitated and confesses to Ben that she believes Ian is a dangerous influence. She also admits that she doesn't know why Ian is fixated on their daughter that night. Kathy is planning to take Ian out of Bree's life. As she heads to school, Kathy took a large dagger and secretly placed it inside Ian's locker. And by the time of the next morning, she had set up a school-wide announcement warning students that an inspection of the locker would be conducted. When Ian's locker is finally opened, a dagger is found. Kathy gives the perfect excuse to call the young man to her office. When Ian arrives, Kathy confronts him head-on, demanding an explanation for his behavior. That's when Ian confesses. After closely monitoring Kathy's activities through her social media, as Kathy constantly shares personal details about her life online, and since Ian can track her movements easily, he goes on to reveal that he was at the hotel that night as part of a carefully arranged plan. And worse, Ian reveals that he recorded his meeting with Kathy at the hotel. Feeling uncomfortable, Kathy watches as Ian shows her the footage that he then made and demands $50,000 in return. To keep the video secret, if she refuses, she warns that she will release the footage exposing her affair with a teenager. She further promises that if she complies and pays the money, she will stay away from Bree. Despite great pressure, Kathy refuses to give up. She warns Ian that if she releases the video, she could also face legal consequences. However, Ian is unfazed and insists that he should collect the money as soon as possible. He threatens to ruin Kathy and Bree's lives if he doesn't cooperate. Despite this, Kathy tells Ian that she doesn't trust him. She knows that even if he pays, he would likely continue to blackmail him. Instead of complying, Kathy calls the school guards and orders them to drag Ian out of her office that day. Gina, who secretly follows Ian to her house, is seen inside Ian getting into a heated argument with his stepfather, and in a sudden rage Ian stabs his stepfather, although not fatal at the time. Gina arrives at the young man's house angry at the incident. Ian emotionally demands to know why Gina is there. with a nervous feeling and looks shaken. Teena confesses that she has feelings for Ian and wants to be in a relationship, but Ian is completely consumed by his anger. Ignoring her confession, as Teena looked around the house, the girl suddenly saw an unconscious figure on the kitchen floor. Panicking, Teena ran out following Ian, who was chasing her. Grabbing a baseball bat and smashing her car window, the young man then threatened her and warned that if he told anyone what he saw, he would do the same on Teena's face. Becoming frightened by the haste, she got into her car and sped away. Ian then returned to his house, where he found his stepfather still alive, who was crawling weakly on the floor, and without hesitation Ian immediately killed him brutally, beating him lifeless with a baseball bat, after which he approached his mother and told her to stay in her room for a few days. The young man assured his mother that he would soon return for her. Meanwhile, Ian sneaks into the school, determined to talk to Bree. Although hesitantly at first, Bree is eventually convinced to go with him, but Kathy soon realizes that Bree is not there. The woman immediately rushes to Bree's classroom, and where only finds Teena and tells her that Bree is gone with Ian. Feeling worried, Kathy immediately calls her daughter's phone, but to her surprise, Ian has answered her phone. The young man coldly threatens Kathy, demanding that she pay the ransom or accept the consequences. Ian warns her that if she calls the police, Bree will be seriously injured. In a panic, Kathy calls Megan for her help. After explaining the situation, they quickly arrange to collect money, while a confused and frightened Bree is in the car with Ian. The girl asks where they went and why she is acting so strangely. Ian vaguely responds by calling her mother a liar. Bree gets even more frightened when Ian suddenly pulls out a gun. She then makes a startling hint. Bree is his little sister and she has to protect her. It is at this point that we learn the truth. The little boy who cried in the car at the beginning of the film was actually Ian. His father Felix had an affair with Kathy, which resulted in the birth of Bree. Ian blames Kathy for his father's death. The young man believes that this way will lead his mother Bree down the path of destruction. He hates Kathy, convinced that she is ruining her life and her mother. Ian then confesses his entire plan to Bree, even admitting that he slept with Kathy. Not wanting to believe her, Bree desperately tries to snatch her gun, but fails in self-defense. She kicks Ian in the face and flees shortly after. Ian catches up with her at the drop point. At that moment, Kathy and Megan arrive. Megan remains in the car, preparing to call the police in 10 minutes if Kathy doesn't return. Kathy enters the building and tries to negotiate with Ian. The woman urges her to let go of Bree. She finally admits everything: her affair with Ian's father, her relationship with Ian, and the lie she told Bree about her father. She sincerely apologized. However, Bree is completely devastated and feels betrayed by her mother just as Ian is about to shoot Kathy. The direction of the target, Ian then points the gun at Bree. Instead, in a desperate attempt to save her daughter, Kathy lunges at Ian, causing them both to crash into a second-floor window. Kathy miraculously survives the fall, but Ian doesn't. The film ends with Kathy, Bree and Ben living together, finally in a more stable and peaceful place, while Ian's mother, who was left alone, was still waiting for her son to return. Thanks for watching.